Hey folks, I'm best-selling author of The Power Zero, David McKnight. In today's video, you'll see part one of my interview with financial advisor Carson Porter, in which I give my take on Curtis Ray's MPI approach to retirement planning.
Social media has changed the face of what it takes to be an influential person. So there's a lot of social media influencers, whether it's on TikTok or YouTube, and you've been making a lot of videos addressing some of the things you agree with and some you disagree with. And there's some I get asked about more than any. I was wondering if I could run maybe a few past you and maybe just get, your little 3 to 5 sentence or 3 to 5 minutes of just feedback on some of that. Because I think it's, at least in this group, Winning at Insurance, where we're live at right now, that's some of the most prevalent conversation going on behind the scenes with some of this stuff. So the first one would be, I've messaged you about this before, but it's MPI, Curtis Ray MPI. What are your thoughts on Curtis Ray MPI?
Yeah, I like Curtis. I've had some dialogue with Curtis. I did film a video not long ago where I disagreed with Curtis on using the IUL as your exclusive emergency fund. I'm a traditionalist. I think that an emergency fund should be an emergency fund. Does IUL have liquidity? Sure, but it's not an emergency fund, right? So, and maybe not everybody agrees with me on that. Obviously, Curtis doesn't agree with me on that, but we dialogue behind the scenes, and I try to keep as respectful as possible when I do these videos. So that's how I feel about using the IUL as an emergency fund. As far as the MPI goes, I mean, my understanding is that it works on paper, right? When you're not allowed to show an illustration that's showing all of these loans coming out and then going back into the policy as additional premium. You can't really show that, from what I understand, in illustration. So Curtis has a spreadsheet that he has created that helps illustrate it. So to me, it feels like there's a lot of moving parts. It feels like there's a lot of stuff that has to happen just correctly. I mean, let's face it, in IUL, a lot of stuff has to happen correctly to begin with, right? They've got to fund it properly. They got to structure it properly. They got to stick with the program for the rest of their lives. They got to take the right type of loan in the right year for all of this to work. They've got to have at least $1 left when they die, or it all becomes the worst investment you ever made. So it's already tough to begin with, but then you throw in this regime where you're taking out loans and then you're using that loan to pay the premium back into the policy. To me, it just feels like a lot of complexity. I don't think that I'm denying that all of this adds up on paper, because I know there's an arbitrage there. But as far as how it's going to play out in real life, I think that's a totally different story. And I think until Curtis Ray has got a track record that he can point to, which in the insurance industry, it's hard to have a track record. I just got interviewed by a lady from Market Watch. She says, well, how many different people have you had that have elected the long-term care, the chronic illness rider in your policies? I said, none. She said, what do you mean none? I said, I've only been selling IUL for 11 years. Those are people that were 50 and 60 at the time when they bought it. Now they're 60 and 70. People just don't have a lot of long-term care events prior to age 70. So I don't have anything to tell you. So, when it comes to life insurance, you need a really long time, a really long track record to make sure that these things work. And so you have to see what the persistency is on these policies over time, and see if people are really willing to stick with a program that's pretty complicated on the face of it. A year later, they may not even remember what they got into. So, I mean, that's just some of my off the cuff remarks about MPI.
Yeah, no, and you and I had talked. I know you had mentioned that they've gone through Monte Carlo testing and some stress testing, and I think on paper we've looked at it and it looks good. The thing that I still can't wrap my head around it. I don't. It's just the double indemnification of every single dollar when it comes to cost basis, and not exactly double, but it's significant, and each dollar isn't performing twice. It's performing at, as illustrated, 50 basis points, 1.050, but my goodness, it's just the additional fees. And then, like you said, persistency. It's such a complicated strategy for a business owner, an entrepreneur. Their brain's already doing complicated things all the time. I can see it making sense. We actually have a similar strategy, but we don't reuse those dollars for new premium. We use them for external opportunities and early liquidity. And but we're every single year, every month, taking loans from month one. But these are, again, high net worth individuals. They have lots of investments. Many of them have a family office helping. But will ma and pa stick with it? Because what I've seen in my career is ma and pa, when it's complicated, they don't stick with it. And if it's not persistent, then was it ethical? What was the point in the first place? I don't know what your thoughts are on that as far as persistency goes, but
no, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, you and I are reading the same music and we're singing the same song here. It doesn't matter how much sense it makes on paper. If it's not going to ultimately lead to a positive outcome for the policyholder, then they would have been better off never having done it to begin with. My persistency, my personal persistency is something on the order of like 99.8%. And so I'm not afraid that people aren't following through with my recommendations. But then again, I'm not making these incredibly complicated recommendations that rely upon taking loans at the right time and then reinvesting the money by way of those, taking that money and then reinvesting it and doing it over and over and over again. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it could be 10
right?
Yeah, it could be 10 years from now. They say this is the worst thing ever or the best thing ever. I mean, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Okay, folks, that was part 1 of my interview with Carson Porter. If you would like some help implementing a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement that shields you from the impact of higher taxes, head on over to davemcknight.com and click on the Connect with an Advisor button. I'm happy to refer you to an advisor in the Power Zero network that has been trained, vetted, and qualified personally by me. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified Power Zero advisor, head over to powerzero.com and opt into my free video series. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I'll respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.